It's a pleasure to have you here. The details now. Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta has been speaking about progress made in negotiations with creditors at the ongoing IMF World Bank spring meetings in Washington. According to him, China is coming on board while assuring there will be no second round of the domestic debt exchange program. He made the disclosure at a news conference held last night.
Just keep at it, and we have goodwill all around. I think we have negotiated in good faith with the fund, with the Paris Club, and now began with our external investors, bondholders, and I expect that the ship will be brought to port in good order. And really to thank Ghanaians for the forbearance, very difficult time for all of us. But I think we are charting a course that will make our country a lot stronger.
Mr. Grateful, the delegation is led by the Minister for Finance, supported by the Minister of State, the Governor, and the Deputy Governor also leading the Bank of Ghana's teams that are part of the delegation. You see the directors of the Ministry of Finance as well. So, Mr. we're grateful to you and the team. Colleagues, we're grateful. Minister has indicated that schedule permitting, he may make some more time to engage with us before all of these meetings are over. So
we'll do that.
Yeah.
We'll come along with
JoyNews Assistant Editor George Riafe is currently in Washington, D.C. He'll be joining us much later for more on this. Now, the Ghana Boundary Commission is facilitating the construction of the first feeder road in the border community of Dollar Power in the Savannah region. After its first visit to the area in 2021, the Ministry of Roads and the 48 Engineers Regiment is leading the construction. At a community sensitization program, National Coordinator of the Boundary Commission, Major General Emmanuel Kotia, said the road will improve regular inspection of the international boundary line between Ghana and Ivory Coast. Maxwell Agbagba has more in the following report.
Welcome to Dollar Power. In this community, there are no access roads, so the community people only use motorbikes. We're here with the Ghana Boundary Commission. We are doing an inspection of Ghana's international boundary line with Côte d'Ivoire. Major General Emmanuel Kotia has been addressing the press after visiting the site himself on a motorbike. He says Ghana Boundary Commission is working together with the 48 Engineer Regiment to provide some feeder roads. This, he says, will help with the regular inspection of Ghana's international boundary line with Côte d'Ivoire. He says it would also improve security here in this community. Tucked away from the eagle eyes of security agencies, some residents here are causing devastating damage to the environment with impunity. The lack of roads at Dollar Power has made policing very difficult. There is no police station. This has given rise to many challenges like illegal mining and more. Speaking during a sensitization program organized by the Ghana Boundary Commission, DC for the area, Veronica Alele, says the construction of the road will make the community easily accessible.
Bridge no yebeye enra womu de womu niema nyina besi ho se womu beye bridge no na womu ayi kwan no omu beyi kwan no fe e de amamu. We need to give them a feeder road because the border itself is motor lane. So if we have a feeder road, it will help the forestry to monitor the activities. It will also help the people themselves to actually monitor activities of criminals and all sorts of people, the ones who just come into Ghana and run back. So that will help them. And then the police station is very key. If we can need a post, a police post to put here, it will help.
A core function of the Ghana Boundary Commission is identifying challenges in border communities and collaborating with relevant state institutions to address them. The Commission is bringing together state institutions to address the challenges in Dollar Power. National Coordinator of the Ghana Boundary Commission, Major General Yimanokotia, says the commission is facilitating the construction of a road. He says this will help with the regular inspection of the international boundary line between Ghana and Côte d'Ivoire. It will also help with regular patrols by the security agencies.
One of the key challenges that we found out here is accessibility, especially road accessibility to the area. As a result of that, security agencies and other agencies are not able to undertake. One thing we have done as a boundary commission is to facilitate the construction of a feeder road. And as I'm speaking to you, the 48th Engineer Regiment has started putting their resources together, and the feeder road is going to be constructed along the international boundary line to dollar power in that regard. One is going to serve two purposes. The first purpose is for that road to aid inspection, regular inspection of the international boundary line and especially the pillars. And the second purpose is to aid any security agencies or any other agency like the Minerals Commission to undertake activities in this general area. You will realize that you can only access here, we can only access here by motor, and going around by air, and going around dollar power, we can only move around with motorbikes because there is no road within the community.
Speaking during a community sensitization program, Major General Yimanokotia urged the residents to safeguard the international boundary line between Ghana and Côte d'Ivoire.
We had reports about the tampering and displacement of boundary pillars in this community. We came for the inspection, verified a number of boundary pillars along the international boundary line between Ghana and Côte d'Ivoire removed. As a result of that, we engaged the chiefs and community leaders of dollar power. Then we were able to identify some of the underlying reasons why this had happened. Partly because of illegal mining that was going around, just because people do not really understand why those pillars are there. Now, after the community sensitization during our visits, in subsequent periods, the people here came to an understanding and recognized that these pillars are very important landmarks for the country. I can happily announce that there have not been any tampering of the pillars since those that were identified in 2021. And I must say that the sensitization that went on during that period was very significant and helped to achieve this.
But now hundreds of Shiabu residents have been displaced after sea waves collapsed their homes. One of the victims, Amma, a nursing mother, and her 7-month-old baby were nearly killed after raging waters attacked their home while they slept at night. In Joy Prime's latest documentary produced by Emmanuel Jivenu, Accra Galamsey, that residents there complain that what the activities of sand winners is partly to blame for this incident. Experts say the sea defense is not an ideal solution to coastal erosion. Here are highlights of that documentary.
Has lived here with her family for 2 years. Her house is less than 50 meters from the sea. She's always lost in her own thoughts of safety. She's worried about the waves breaking down her house and killing her and her 7-month-old baby.
Satam na denisi na so suto on say June July mu de na so ta ton kitinkiti enti na me de me baby no hyedem enti wodem wa na me de me ti sa de ne ye gbim prekope na me soli na me pega me ba no me ni me ma mienu na wodem mo na ba ko so yi ye flash na ye TV no ka say afota ba enti me support enti me yusi I say see breeze na akoma ma na say e na me pega baby no e na ye do no ko she ma me fufuro bi dem. When I want and be best, yes, me, yet, dear, no, I say, Sakotina ho. And they said, I'm to Africa.
Amma is unable to afford rent elsewhere, so she has decided to risk staying here, praying for God's protection. But even in the glare of disaster, individuals still mind sun here.
I feel rough on the Muka say, Mamma, and yes, I'm Puno. Ababa no muda mundu da muda mo na imponim bra betu ya wahana. No money muku super.
Some Shebu residents are blaming the construction of the Glyphate Sea defense for their woes.
No me when I can show you say to. Can we be? No was sharing what one was you alone you on can about me to you be to 22. When you to 22 year be. Ni agbene where she pon yes kwa can short. Ni na agbago be. She about I check go to on I got fair to get 10 again back. Pony I guess I'm sure now. Pony I got fair pressure alone agbago. She about I can interfere again back. Anye agete abakoni ebawo ni te na chie e afi pressure awe bi wo be ehani kaji iso we no pressure di ona gaje fe magbe ono e bi eke eba bon tuji ekumo eke ekumo tuji.
They are appealing to the government to extend the sea wall to cover their area so as to reduce the impact of the rising sea levels.
Wo be bi ane ko te gbe fe ko fi amudi oje ejole. She will be here to the ABN. Will be here to the assembly ABN. Why MP ABN? Why you look by Community ABN? I mean, I know. She won't not only put enough for her way. Will be near to work with me here. Why you will be? Won't pack back. Or look by the corner, maybe I'm a bow. Conitanya Bao, Conwana Basafu.
But is sea defense the ideal solution to the impact of coastal erosion?
I've always been saying that sea defense is not the right approach in managing coastal, challenges, especially coastal erosion, because sea defense is basically fighting erosion, and you can't use an artificial means to fight a natural system. So for you to be able to fight a natural system, you must develop a natural means to fight the natural system. Artificial means can never and has never been the solution in fighting a natural system. So sea defense are always not a solution. Basically what we do with sea defense is that we either prevent the ocean from taking sediment away, or we block sediment within the transport path, the sediment transport path. We block and trap sediment so that we build beaches within where erosion is a problem. But in blocking sediment, you are depriving other areas of sediment. So basically what you've done is that you've transferred the problem from one location to the other. And that is why in some areas you realize that in Keta, for instance, sea defense is doing very well, but downdrift erosion has increased. Why? Because the volume of sediment that would have gone to build the beaches and gone to, create a balance in the sediment budget regime are now being blocked and trapped. So the reduced sediment will definitely have an impact. And these are some of the reasons why the downdrift side begin to erode if they are not eroding, or you have an enhanced erosion if they're already eroding. So to me, sea defense using hard engineering approach has never been a solution.
Those are highlights of Emmanuel Jivanu's report for Joy Prime documentary, I beg your pardon. But let's visit our earlier story, the one about the finance minister speaking about progress made in negotiations with China with regards to our IMF deal. Joy Business Assistant Editor George Riafi joins us from Washington, D.C. So, George, tell us specifically what exactly this progress is and what it means for our quest in securing an IMF deal.
Well, Bernice, speaking at this engagement in Washington, D.C., the finance minister has sought to assure that on their part, they've actually met all the preconditions that is required before they can go for an IMF program. And that is the basis where he's doing this extrapolations that all other things being equal, by May, we should be able to get the IMF program. And that is the basis. So he believes that having met all these requirements, it is clear that what is left is that the board would then, if they make their request to the board, having gone through the African department and the other department of the IMF, they will indeed approve Ghana's program.
And George, we've heard the IMF boss, Kristalina Georgieva, speak so passionately about Ghana and talk about how we must keep hope alive. And the confidence and the passion with which she speaks is one that is very noticeable. Did the fund's intervention in any way have a role to play in China deciding to come on board now, in the words of the finance minister? And why is China doing so if that's not the case?
Well, Bernice, from the minister's comments, it appears the icebreaker was when he personally paid a visit to China to try and give them some further assurance and convince them about some clarity that they were seeking to get. Also, don't forget that, Bernice, it appears that now China is being positioned as the bad boy, the one that is dragging the process. So, for instance, here, when the G24 ministers had a meeting and were briefing journalists later, they sought to tell us that now China has pledged that they will fast track the debt restructuring talks with Ghana and then Zambia. So all these reports out there is not helping. Plus, Bernice, I mean, if you engage people behind the scenes here, there's a lot of lobbying going on, and the good one. And I stand to be educated that following the fund for a while, I have not seen a situation where a country has applied for a program and it's like an examiner telling you that, Bernice, listen, even give me the blank sheet, I'll pass you. And so the goodwill is so high, but the fund also wants to ensure that despite all this goodwill, it won't be a blank check. We should see some commitment in terms of these structural reforms. What are you putting in place to improve revenue? What are we doing to ensure that the never again? So all these things are going on behind the scenes, and everyone, Bernice, that I engage, despite the concerns being raised about Ghana, you get the sense that we want to help Ghana to come out of this challenge. So all these maneuverings appears to be putting some subtle pressure on China. And that is why now they've given that assurance that they will participate in Ghana's program. When there was the first Paris Club meeting that sought to establish the partial committee, China didn't join, but we are picking up indication that at the next meeting they might join. They raised issues about some of the debts, and all of them can't be classified, that is the 1.9 billion, as a state debt. You have a situation where Ghana is indebted to the China Exim Bank. So how do we deal with all those things? So all those things are being worked out. That's subtle pressure, and it appears that nobody wants to be seen as the bad boy because of the geopolitics that is going on, and that might be working in Ghana's favor.
George, finally tell us what to expect today.
Well, the IMF African Department is trying to give us some updates on their projections in terms of growth for Africa. And we'll be seeking to get some understanding what was their basis for that 1.6% growth for Ghana. We'll also get an update on Ghana's program request. Where are we right now, Bernice? I mean, what we understand that if today Ghana submits all its documents to the fund, it has to take about 6 weeks for it to ask to get a slot for a board review. So as we speak right now, has Ghana submitted its economic program? Has it submitted its letter of intent? And what has been the concerns raised by the staff before the program is approved? So all these things will happen. On the government side, they're also trying to wrap up some engagement with the multilateral institutions like the World Bank, the African Development Bank as well, to see whether they can get other commitment. Don't forget that, Bernice, the $3 billion that is coming from the IMF is going directly to the Bank of Ghana in terms of balance of payment support. Other institutions are supposed to come on board, for instance, World Bank to support budget programs for the next 4 years. And so all these meetings are supposed to go on to ensure that they get some commitment from these institutions on them participating in Ghana's IMF bailout program.
George, we'll leave it here. George Biafe is assistant editor here at Joy Business, and he is in Washington, D.C., attending the IMF World Bank spring meetings and giving us very important updates on Ghana's quest to secure an IMF deal as soon as possible. You're watching JoyNews today. I'm Bernice Abu-Baidoo Lansah. And let's move on now. The next story you're about to hear is one of uncertainty as workers of Ghana's biggest indigenous cocoa buying company, the PPC, are worried because the company continues to post huge revenue losses. According to audited reports for 2020, the company lost 1.9 billion cedis within a period of 4 years. In our latest Hotline documentary, PBC Troubles, JoyNews' investigative desk explores what may be accounting for the steep decline in the company's market share from 30.88% in 2016 to 8% in 2021.
In August 2022, a circular copied all staff indicated that payment of salaries would delay due to the current financial challenges facing the company. When we spoke to the staff who pleaded anonymity in November 2022, he told JoyNews their salaries delayed for 3 months last year. It was not only difficult for many to fend for themselves, but their families as well.
Staff salary, they were owing us 3 months, but currently they've paid the 3 months. But as we speak, we don't know when our next salary payment is coming, and we have no idea.
He said it was now difficult for staff to access welfare loans from the company, which wasn't the norm in recent past.
Okay, the welfare fund is a revolving fund. So they wrote to us that there are no funds available, so nobody should apply for welfare loan. But with regards to the tier 3, we have paid, it is our money, and we have contributed, and it is 10 years now. And the agreement was that when it is 10 years, they have to pay all the monies to us. But it is 10 years now, and they are refusing to release the funds to us, which is making all the staffs, every staff is agitating. Every staff is agitating about this tier 3.
So dire is the financial situation that PBC suspended the intake of national service personnel for the 2022-2023 year. In a circular cited by JoyNews, the Human Resource Manager, William AUC, cited the current financial challenges of the company as the reason. In January 2022, PBC wrote to the Ministry of Employment about its intention to restructure the company, including downsizing its staff. It cited the prevailing financial and operational downturn, making it difficult to pay staff and meet its obligations to stakeholders. It said the staff who will be affected by the downsizing are those without establishment. Our sources suggest that when CocoBot secured the Cocoa syndicated loan last year, it loaned PBC with an estimated 350 million Ghana cedis. Management used 50 million cedis to cover staff remuneration and other administrative expenses. The national projection PBC set for itself for the 2022-2023 main crop season was to purchase 170,000 tons of cocoa. But with the limited funds in PBC's account, this target remains a pipe dream and leaves staff in another boat of uncertainty on what fate hangs on the survival of PBC and possible payment of their remuneration.
About 4 years in me, baby, shares no market share no former echo, a former echo. Because woman you woman behave human, so woman you more human. Appointees, government appointees na do woman. It will go wow back who call the human crowd. We need more rain, one see another chance one year human. The market share no the company by woman to me and Okreno enchire pieces na ye no wo mo ye adwuma na ye nso no ye ne farmers ne tie kurase ho and you farmers in situation kedru brebi a ye ne bo awo company investor ma see am farmers ye ye tibi kopelo ne ye wu sa ho chire bi mu no e te see ye bo farmers ne kakra won te so o beti koko no October no wo mo twia e bi dia kura tibi koba 1 year na farmers dey akrache foreigner esu company ni mu hwe wo mo physical kura ba sika ni to gogo kura wo mu nya bi ma ebe da na abanya bi dia abobosi etiye no wodo aye wo ma company no yetiri wu se nya no bi na mpanimfo no e wo ma company no osoro ho no wo mo da se wo mu sika na wo mu di na ne hia.
Now in Ghana, over 400,000 people are estimated to be living with autism, and that's according to a 2017 report by the Ghanaian Society of the Autistic. However, in some regions of the country, the condition is attributed to spiritual attacks leading to abuse and discrimination. In response, the convener of the Play with Stephen Golf Tournament, Stephen Onaivi, has launched an annual event to educate and support persons living with autism and raise funds for related organizations. My colleague Esther Nkrumah has more in this report.
Autism, also known as Autism Spectrum Disorder, ASD, encompasses a wide array of conditions that involve difficulties with social skills, repetitive behaviors, speech, and non-verbal communication. Unfortunately, in certain regions of Ghana, people still attribute this condition to spiritual attacks, resulting in affected children and adults facing various forms of abuse and discrimination. Founder of the Autism Awareness Care and Training Center, Sewa Kweno, believes that this is due to a lack of awareness about the condition.
It's about time people stopped calling mothers witches, calling the children cursed children, and all that. It is a condition. So they must understand that it is a condition. Like you have sickle cell or diabetes or something. It's not an illness, mind you. I'm saying it's a condition because it's something that is with you all the time. Well, it can be addressed, obviously, by more education and doing more awareness. And mind you, April is not just Autism Awareness Month. Autism is with us all year long, year in, year out. So, like I said, creating the awareness takes you and me.
As convener of Play with Stephen Golf Tournament, Stephen Onaivi organizes a golf tournament annually to educate, support, and raise funds for persons living with autism and organizations within that space. He plans to hold this event later this year.
We have since 2020, we have been leveraging golf to create awareness for autism in the continent and also continue to raise funds in support of autism centers that provide essential services to these children and families. They significantly face stigma and discrimination from the society that we live in, particularly in this continent. Our collective aim is to create awareness about autism and its impact on individuals and families, and to raise funds to support the work of autism centers across the country and across the continent. As a friend of children with autism, I know how difficult it can be to access the right information, resources, and support for your loved ones. I am also aware the potential and talent these kids have if given the opportunity to thrive. That is why I have decided to use my passion for golf as a way to create awareness, raise funds for autism in Ghana, and by extension, the continent. It is a sport that can make a positive impact on society if we use it very well. That is why I invite you all by extension, the guys watching us outside this environment, our golfers, to join me at the Achimota Golf Club on Friday, 25th to Sunday, 27th August 2023 for this year's edition of Play with Stephen. The tournament promises to be a golfy weekend of fun, entertainment, networking opportunities for all participants. There will be prizes for the winners in various categories as compared to previous years where we just have one prize, so first, second, third. So we've segmented the categories into category B, A, category B, and possibly senior citizens. So everybody have an opportunity to have fun and really feel like they're winning for a purpose.
He indicated that the proceeds from the tournament will be donated to 3 autism centers, 2 of which are in Ghana.
This year we have a special theme, Swing for Autism. We want to use this occasion to celebrate the diversity and uniqueness of people with autism and to show them our solidarity and support. We also want to raise funds for 3 autistic centers in the continent: the Autism Awareness Care and Training Center, Awawa 2, and Shades of Life Care Center. These centers are doing amazing work to provide education, therapy, training, advocacy for people with autism and their families. The Play with Stephen Golf Tournament will feature 2 days of exciting golfing action with over 100 golfers from Ghana and beyond competing for various prizes and trophies.
There are limited number of resources available for families and individuals affected by autism in Ghana, and many struggle to access the services they need. For JoyNews, Esther.
Now, the Binde community in the Northeast region does not have mobile network service. Community leaders say they feel isolated from the world of digitization because of the problem. According to them, a number of essential public service workers, including doctors and teachers, have fled the community as a result. Ilyasa Tanko has more.
Technology has become the trailblazer of modern development. It provides a means for people to connect, learn vital skills, access goods and services, and gain knowledge. The lack of it, however, increases information access costs and uncertainty in decision-making, among others. Despite these benefits, several residents of the Northeast region are still digitally excluded due to the absence of telecommunication infrastructures in their communities. One such community is the town of Bindi, which is located along the main Napanduri-Bunkurugu route with a population of close to 3,000. According to the residents here, the lack of a mobile network or mobile connectivity is making it uncomfortable living in a community. As a result, public services workers are either seeking transfer out or refusing postings to the community, a situation which they say is gradually isolating the community and its members from the rest of the country. This is the Bindi Government Hospital, one of the few referral facilities in the region and the only facility serving all the people in the eastern part of the region and beyond in Burkina Faso and northern Togo. According to the management of the hospital, the absence of a mobile network service not only threatens the provision of quality healthcare delivery, but impedes the well-being of the hospital staff. Slim Seyes is the hospital administrator.
The situation here has affected us so much in the sense that the staff have refused postings here, in the sense that they say when they come here, they cannot get their relatives to communicate to. They learned here there's no network. Some of the staffs came, they reported, they were in my office here, they want to speak maybe to the bosses, the regional director. If you remove your phone now, you see that here there's no network. You can check it from your phone and see. They say, here there's no network. I said, yes. Why? I said, the town is like that. We just leave and you don't see them again.
Another administrator, Asigri Susanna, also talks about the challenges.
Mostly, I'm supposed to go on the net and do my updates based on weekly. But then, more times I have to carry my laptop to Bambabu for network before I can go on the net. And you know, if I'm going there, I have to go with the picker. And that
Ilyasa Tanko with that report. It's now time to bring you business news updates. That's coming up shortly. Do stay.
Hello, welcome to the business segment on Joy News. Today with me, Pius Kojo-Baka, and Finance Minister Ken Ufuriata has been speaking about the progress made on negotiations with creditors at the ongoing IMF World Bank Springs meeting. We sincerely apologize for that. We shall come back to that story subsequently. Now, scores of Ghanaians are calling for a decline in the prices of foodstuffs on the market. Now, this comes after inflation experienced a sharp fall from 50.3% to 45%. Now, to these Ghanaians, the traders should pay heed to the directive of the Ghana Union of Traders Association, that's GUTA. We've been engaging some of them.
If it were at 53.4, and now it is at 45%. All that we are saying is that the current price level had gone up by 45%, and so it's still high. Is it going to help us? Yes, it's helping those in a very quick business, making those short, quick profits. But when it comes to cost of living, then it is very bad for us. And so it's seriously not helping income levels. The current income level we have with the rising price levels. What it simply means is that we are getting less than before. And so it is just very bad.
Even though the inflation has dropped, I can bet you if you go to the markets, prices will still be high. Why? Probably because there's no price control system in place. If you ask, then they will still talk about transportation fares. And so we are praying that within the nearest possible time, prices will be reduced, fares will be reduced, so that Ghanaians will benefit from the fall in inflation.
The inflation is now at a double digit, which is 45 now. Now, fuel too has dropped, but when you look at we, the citizenry, and also from our output in terms of production, in fact, our sales has not actually increased. And then revenue too has not increased, because when you go into an average bar, a restaurant, from my alcoholic beverage point of view, you could see that it has actually dropped, because the price at which distributors and other shareholders sell their products, because they've increased prices, they bought it at a price when the inflation was high. And now when you go to them that inflation has dropped and fuel has dropped, they will tell you the moment they bring the price down, they are going to run at a loss. So all of them, through the supply chain, you could see that the price is still very high and consumers are not making any profit out of it.
I would say that it is good that it's dropped down, but let us see how it will reflect in our pockets. As for the figures, they are okay, but it depends on the ground, the reality. Somebody might not understand, so he will still sell at the old price, but someone who understands it will drop the price.
And that's your business for now. I am Pius Kojo Baka. I will be back at 1 p.m. with the marketplace. More.
And to our very first story in showbiz, Ghanaian musician EL has things to get off his chest. This may be the 33-year-old's way of clearing the path ahead of his big comeback. Elom Adabla, as he's known outside music circles, is a man of few words, unless he's in the booth. But a surprise documentary on Wednesday, April 12, has left fans wondering what the new EL will bring to the scene. And musician Kiddy has returned to social media months after taking a break following a health complication. In a post on his social media handles, the singer-songwriter said he appreciated the love and support he felt from fans, family, and all who reached out to him after he fell ill. Kiddy noted their actions and concerns comforted him in the quote-unquote difficult period. Adding he's thankful to everyone. A little under two months ago, quote, I made the painful decision of cancelling my tour to take care of my health. That included taking time off social media. In that time, I've been overwhelmed by the outpouring of love from family, friends, fans, and the brands I work with, he noted, end quote. And that's how we end this edition of Joy News today. I'm super grateful that you made time to join us. There's more news when you log on to myjoyonline.com. We're also very interactive on social media. We are Joy News on TV. Do stay with us. We are home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. I'm Bernice Abu-Baidoo Lansah. Have a very good afternoon. Up next is The Marketplace. Do stay.